Hello everybody, welcome back. Hope you're enjoying the weekend wow. And this time around I'm actually going to showcase stamp set 340, which is Paint Your Dreams. And I love this little stamp set. It's a little bit different in size, so we're playing with something a little bit different. If we put that against the background, you can see that you've got a paint palette and you've got these brushes, and this paintbrush here coordinates with my border stamp. If you've bought that previously, the border stamp that has this paintbrush, so it coordinates, the whole set coordinates with that previous border stamp beautifully. And I love the sentiments: dream in colour, colour outside the lines, and create. A sweet little set. So we're going to use that one, and what I thought we'd do is I thought we'd use the background that we created in our second demo. So if you look on Rewind, you'll see my demo, my second one. We used a salad spinner to create this background, so I thought we don't want to waste it, so let's use that background. And I'm going to use a stencil this time, and I'm going to use this stencil. I quite like, sort of looks like planets really, but I really like the fact that it's got those dots. It's quite quirky. So I'm now going to blend some Distress Oxide Broken China, and I just want to add some random touches, and I'm just holding that stencil in place. If you're not very confident about holding your stencil in place, then you can hold that in place with a piece of low-tack tape. Low-tack tape will hold that in place for you. Now, I don't want to add too much detail from the stencil. I just want to add a few little touches of the stencil to part of my card. I don't want to hide that background, the background that we've created with the salad spinner, because it'd be a shame to cover all that up. So I'm just going to lift up to see what we end up with. Yes, so we just end up with some detail in the background, which works quite well. So it's just adding another layer of interest. That's all we're doing, just adding another layer of interest to the background. And I love the fact that it's got these circles inside these designs, because I'm probably going to add another circular element to my design anyway. So just check. And as you can see, that gives me some detail in the background. Can you see that we've got a layered backdrop? It just adds a little touch of detail in the background just to go along with those splatters. Really like that. And what I'm going to do is take another piece of card and use the same colours that we used in the background for the salad spinner piece. So if you didn't see the salad spinner piece, you can catch that on Rewind. So we're just going to add the same colours, spring and waterfall, to my background. Just add these colours to my backdrop, because this is what I can add my stamped images to. Just move this all out the way, and I'm just going to braid that paint across my card. I just want it for stamping purposes, that's all. So it can be quite random, so it doesn't have to be perfect. Just use all the paint that you've got on your craft sheet. Make sure you use it all. But I mean, that alone is a wonderful background. Just with the paint, you could actually just stamp the image on that and you wouldn't need much else. So just, sometimes the simplest of backgrounds are the most effective. And the colours are lovely. It adds lovely texture to your background. So just give that a dry, because I need to stamp onto that. So I do need to make sure that it's dry, because when you're stamping onto a sticky plastic layer of acrylic paint, then you do need to make sure that is, you know, at least decently dry. And then what I've got is these lovely paintbrushes, and I'm going to stamp these paintbrushes onto there. So I'm just going to take my VersaFine Clair Black or Nocturne, and I'm just going to ink the stamp up. And I just love the little quirky size of these. It just means we can create different size projects all the time. We can mix it up by creating different projects. So I can just stamp those. And they don't need much pressure at all. The little stamps don't. They don't need much pressure at all. But even with a small stamp, I still allow that ink to sit on my card because we're on that acrylic layer of paint. So I'm still allowing that ink to sit on there. And just look at them. I just love them. I love them. And then we've got the 2 tubes of paint. So I'm going to ink those as well. Giving those a good ink again with the VersaFine Nocturne, and then add those here like so. I just love the size of them. I think they're just so cute. Just look how those stamp. I just think they look fab. They're such a cute little size. I love the size. That in itself could be a card, to be honest. That in itself could be a card. So we just blot that. Just blot like so. And I've already got some cut out, but you could tear. I'm going off on a tangent again. I always end up going off on a tangent. I always say I'm not going to do that. And the minute I decide on a card, I just think, so we just tear around this because I've already got pieces cut out. So this could be used for another card actually. It could be used for another card. I quite like the torn edges. So just, see, I'm going off on a tangent. I love those torn edges. See, I like that. I'm going off on a complete tangent here. Let me just see if I've got another piece of card. So we could add it. Yes, you see, I like this. This wasn't the card that I was even planning on doing. Do you ever do that? Do something completely different than what you were expecting to do. I do it every single time I go to demonstrate. I end up going off on a tangent. So this could be added here. Oh, I quite like this. I can end up making 2 cards here instead of 1. So this is our original background. You see, you could put it on there as well. Oh, I like them on both. I like them on both. So what we'll do is we'll add that one there. And then what I'm thinking is that we can add an embroidery hoop here and then add these paint palettes inside. So what I could do is add another torn piece of white card. Just take a piece of white card just so that these pop in the background. So just so these pop, just so that they don't blend into the background. So I'm just tearing a piece of card. I've totally gone off on a tangent yet again. I always end up going off on a tangent. So what I'm thinking is we can add this. We have this little embroidery hoop here, like so. So I'm going to add my little paint strips to these. So I'm going to fix this down. Just fix this down. So we could end up making 2 cards for the price of 1 here. So just add that layer to our card. And you can still see that stenciling, you can still see the splatters, which is really nice. You can still see the splatters in the background. And then what I'm going to do is add these little elements to that white backdrop, just like so. This is where I'm thinking of adding my little paintbrushes and palettes and everything, just so we can have them just added like this. And I just love the little size of them. I just think they're fabulous. Just add this here, like so. Oh yes, and then if we put that over the, oh yes. So we're going to adhere these now. So sometimes you can create a nice simple card and then get 2 ideas for the price of 1, which is what I like about creating. So we're just going to adhere these. I just love the size of them. And I love that pop of colour on the paintbrushes and the paint tubes, but against that white stark background. So it works quite well. So just add this here, like so. And I do love the size of them. They'd work quite well in a little shaker as well. Little shaker. So I'm just going to add, I think I'm going to add a pop of red as well. So we're just adhering all these to the background. Bring this in here. Just add that brush there, like so. And I love just playing with little elements of stamps and embellishments and things. I do love adding little details. So we just make sure that they stick down. And my little fan brush, it's a little fan brush, just make sure we've got some adhesive. The light's not brilliant here, but I'm just making sure I've got some adhesive. Press those down. I do like those, so what I'm thinking is this will go here like so. And then what we can do is we can bring in this stamp set here. We've got this stamp set here, which is pen and ink. You could even add the little pen to the background as well. So I quite like this. There's lots of different background elements. So what I'm going to do is take my stamp set, just remove these from my acrylic block so I can use another element in this stamp set. So we can use pen and ink, which has also got creative on here as well, which is quite novel. And then what I'm going to do is use this number stamp here. As you know, I like my numbers. I just love numbers. I just love adding numbers. And what I'm going to do is add that Distress Oxide. So I'm just having a think how I want this. Let's just move these things out the way. We've got too many things lying around. So I want this here, like so. And I do like that natural wood element. And then I'm just going to ink these numbers. Just move everything out the way. Just ink these numbers. Let's make sure that we've got them the right way, or else that won't look very good, will it? Just add these numbers here to the background. See, you've just got some numbers there, 365. So just add those numbers like so. And we can just, while we're here, we can just develop this card as well at the same time. So we can stamp the numbers on this card as well. So we can develop this one. And I love how you've got two cards for the price of one, really, by just stamping the background. So I'm just going to add the stamped numbers on the background of this card as well. So it's like two for the price of one. Just adding numbers. And of course I'm going to have to add them in threes rather than ones. Just add this over the top. You see, it just works. All the stamps really work together. I love how they all work together. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add, a little touch of red paint. A little tiny touch just to the paintbrushes. Just make sure this flows okay, so it doesn't. So just a little, let's make sure we're in camera. Got everything rolling around here. Just add a little pop of red paint just on our paintbrushes. Just a little tiny bit of red paint. Oh. And I just think that red just pops against the background, just if we add that little touch of red. And what we'll do then is we'll paint our embroidery hoop with some green paint, just to coordinate with the background. We only need to, let's make sure we've got a bit more paint. We only need to wipe it over because you want it to look shabby. You don't want sort of, so it's a completely solid colour. You want it to look a bit shabby. So it doesn't matter that some of that wood is showing. You want some of that wood to show, just so it looks more natural. It's not a completely covered piece. Just add that there. Just add some around the outside, just so it gives it sort of a hint of colour. That's all it gives it. It gives it a hint of colour. Just reach for my white because I'm now covered in paint. Just reach for that. And we'll just give that a dry with our heat tool. Like so. So just give that a little dry. Give that a little dry. Just so, oh, got a thread there from our previous demo. And just going to add this here, like so. Look how that just, it spotlights the whole of the paintbrushes. It spotlights them. I've now got paint everywhere. Just get rid of this wipe so that we don't splatter paint everywhere. So that little pop of red just lifts everything. So we'll add that now to our background, because I just love the way we've got that. So just add this round here. And these are nice simple cards, because sometimes not everybody likes too much mixed media where there's too many layers. Sometimes we like fresh, clean layers. It's not always about making it too overcomplicated. It's trying to appeal to everybody. So just allow that to press there, like so. Just allow that to press. And then what we can do is we can add some little delicate splatters of red paint, just so that it goes all over the background, just so it looks a little bit more cohesive. Just to add those splatters, give that a splatter like so. Just pick that red paint up and just delicate splatters. Don't do any more, that's plenty. So we'll just give this a wipe. And that red just makes everything pop. It makes everything pop. If you don't want to add the red, you can keep it monochromatic. That's entirely up to you. But I always like a pop of red when I'm using these colours. I just think they look really effective. I love that pop of red. And what we can do now is we can add a sentiment. So we'll add a sentiment and we'll look at our stamp set. Just remove this one out the way. Just leave that there for now. And then we can either use colour outside the lines or dreaming colour. And I think we'll use dreaming colour. I quite like that dreaming colour. So just add this here. Dream in colour. Nice clear font, which works really well. Just find another piece of white card. You see, we could even use a piece of this that we've torn off the background, but I think I'll use white. I'll use white. This is what I'm like all the time, just experimenting with what I want from my stamp sets. But then that's what I like doing. I like to experiment. Let's just move those out of the way. So we'll just stamp Dream in Colour. Let's remove that over excessive ink. And just add this to white card. I just think the white card will make it pop. We'll just make it pop a little bit more. And you don't need to press much with this stamp set. It stamps really lovely. And we'll just blot that. We'll just blot that so that you don't smudge the ink. Just give that a blot. And then we'll just cut that out. So as you can see, you've got a nice clear font. So I'm just going to cut that out. Obviously, if I wasn't on camera, I would use my guillotine to cut out the sentiment, just so that it was nice and straight. Just cut that there. And I like the starkness of the white. Well, that's not very straight, is it, Tracy? It's not very straight at all. I'm so used to cutting with my guillotine. That's better. And then what we can do is you can either add it here, Dream in Colour, or what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut mine up. I'm going to cut the sentiment up so that it's all in separate words. Dream in Colour. That's how I'm going to add mine, because I just think it'll look a bit better here like this, and I like the fact that that whiteness really pops against the background. So with the and it's a nice light bright card. So we've done a mix here during the weekend. Wow, we've done mixed media projects that are in vintage tones, and we've also now added one that's in fresher, brighter tones to try and appeal to different tastes with the stamps. So dream in colour, and I love those little pops of red. I just think they really add to the design. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my embellishments, because I love using my embellishments, and I'm just going to add an index clip to my background because I love adding that. I did have some paintbrush embellishments, but I'm just trying to think where they are, because they would work quite well, the paintbrush embellishments would, but I don't think I've got them at hand. Oh, I have. We've got a little paintbrush embellishments here, which would work quite well as well. So what we could do is we can add a little paintbrush embellishment, because that'll work even better. Whoops, I've not even stuck that one down. So let's stick this down. Stick that down, like so. And then we've got a little paintbrush embellishment here that'll work really well. So we'll just add that. Make sure you've got no glue. Got a little bit of glue. Move that along. There we go. I end up talking to myself while I'm creating. So I'm then going to add this little brush embellishment just to the background of my card, just to so it coordinates with the whole theme. That's a cute little brush, that is. That just coordinates beautifully with that. I'm really pleased with that. Do I need another one? I hope you do this at home. I hope you play around with your stamp sets, because I do. I'm always playing around and deciding whether I want another element. Yes, I'm going to add another brush there. I'm going to add some paint to these metallic embellishments, just so they coordinate with everything else that we've got on the card. I'm just going to add that there, like so. And then what I'm going to do is add a touch of the paint. Let's add a touch of the paint. So a little bit of the green and a little bit of the pale bluey colour. Just pick that up with my finger and just add that to the paintbrushes. Just so those paintbrushes coordinate a little bit. And then what we'll do is we'll just add a bit of the blue to our embroidery hoop, just so that it works and coordinates with the background, like so. And then it just gives you a cohesive design. Just add that. I like taking my time adding those elements. And then what we can do is let's just wipe up some of this paint. I've now got paint everywhere. Just move my scissors out of the way. And what we can do is just bring in our black card. If we bring in our black card and place this against the card, like so. Let's move everything out of the way so we can bring this in. And as you can see, we've got this card here. Nice, fresh, bright colour palette, which works really well. And that pop of red just finishes it off. And then you've got the start of another project that, again, you could just add. Just from one card, you've got the start of two cards. So you could, again, add some more white elements. You could even add a spotlight to this, even with square panel piece. So I'll probably finish that off later. But it gives you one card plus the start of a second card with one demo. So I hope you enjoyed that demo. and I'll see you shortly. Bye.